What is up, guys? Today I'm going to be talking about 10 additions that I would love to see in Season 3 of Arena Breakout. It is right around the corner, so make sure you hit the subscribe button to stay up to date with all the new stuff coming in this next season. Let's get right into it. So the first on my list is a spotter scope or binoculars, something of that nature. Now, we have the assets for this to be implemented into the game already, and it wouldn't take very much. We have binoculars, which are a lootable item. You can buy them in the market. You can't really do much with them besides, sell them for coin, unless they're a mission item down the road. Not quite sure yet, I haven't got that far. Nonetheless, this would eliminate the need to always be running a high magnification optic on your weapon. I personally prefer to run a variable zoom optic unless I'm using a weapon that allows for a candid sight specifically for this reason. I've seen other people mention this in the past, and I think it would be a really nice addition to the game. If you've played COD and you are familiar with the spotter scope in that game, I'll put up some gameplay or some screenshots, but you can zoom in and out, you can swap between thermal and non-thermal. It even marks enemies, which is excellent. I'm not saying it has to be a carbon copy of this, but something like this would be nice. Moving on to number 2, it's going to be scav karma. Now, this is another topic that I've seen spoken about a lot on Reddit and all over the internet. This is a mechanic that exists inside of Escape from Tarkov itself, and basically how this works is if you kill a fellow scav unprovoked, your karma will go down, and the more it goes down, the worse gear you're going to get on spawn. If it goes down too much, other scavs will shoot on sight. So this will in fact be some incentive for other players to not shoot on sight, because how annoying is it on your scav run, you're about to exfil, and you just get iced by another scav you thought was either AI or you thought you could team up with. Another mechanic I've been talking about since the inception of this game was an FOV slider. One of the only things more annoying than getting killed by a fellow scavenger is the fact that half of your field of view is usually taken up by whatever gun you're using. If you want to run a high magnification optic on, let's say, the AN94, half of your screen is going to be taken up because you have to run a sight rail if you want to use a scope on it. So, without the ability to adjust your field of view from whatever it is currently to something like 100 or 120, that's really going to affect your playstyle and your gameplay. It's going to make a huge difference if we have the ability to adjust that. Now, the only upside of having a shallow FOV is the fact that you really don't need a high magnification scope in order to get a decent zoom on a gun. And anyone that's played Call of Duty Mobile, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Moving on to number 4 on this list, it's not exactly something I want added into the game, just something I would like to see more of, and that is the skeleton keys, or the universal keys. I would love to see these brought back into the game in the form of maybe a barter recipe or a found in raid item. But most importantly, I really want the time-limited element to be removed from this. We shouldn't have a set amount of time in order to use this key before it gets removed from our inventory. I think that's kind of silly, considering the fact that you can only use it one time. So while I do think this is probably one of the best things that was implemented this season, I do think the way they executed it was just a little janky. They could have done it a little bit better. So maybe we'll see some changes this next season, maybe not. We will see. Next up is going to be the ability to peek and lean while prone. Now, I do think this is going to take ratting to an extreme. Never seen before in this game, but I do think it will also give people more of a tactical advantage, especially solo players like me. So, while this isn't a crazy game-breaking feature to be implemented into the game, this too is something that is already inside of Escape from Tarkov. Number 6 is something I think we can all agree on, and that is to have a better firing range. Now, the range in Escape from Tarkov isn't exactly the best thing in the world either, but I wish we did have a few more features. And I also wish that the transitions were a little more seamless in between replenishing your supplies and going to and returning from the workbench. You can use your imagination and come up with some ideas what you would think would make the firing range better, and leave them down in the comments. Now, I do know a lot of people in this community feel differently than others about the addition of camos and cosmetics in this game, but I do think it would be really cool to give free-to-play players the chance to put camos on their weapons. Now, let's take a look at a game called Lost Light. Very similar to ArenaBreakout in nature. They do have a store where you can buy camos, and you can also get camos by playing the game for free without spending a penny. Although it does take quite a while to find the spray cans needed to paint your gun, it makes it that much more satisfying. On the flip side, it makes it that much more painful to lose it. Either way, it's really cool that they allow free-to-play players the chance to personalize their guns, and I would love to see ArenaBreakout implement something like this into their game. Let me know what you guys think about this down in the comments. This one is for all the PUBG Mobile lovers out there, and that is the addition of flare guns inside of ArenaBreakout. I'm still not 100% sure how I would want something like this to function in-game. However, I think it would be really awesome to be able to shoot a flare up into the sky and get an airdrop all for myself. Now, the drawback, obviously, is that other players are going to be able to see the flare and they will come and hunt you. But the upside is, just like any other airdrop inside of this game. It could be packed full of really good loot. It could not be packed full of very good loot. It's just RNG. Regardless, I think this would be a very good addition. What do you think? Now, number 9 was supposed to be gear insurance, but we do know that is in fact coming in Season 3, so I will go ahead and relinquish the number 9 spot to custom lobbies. The possibilities are endless in custom rooms, and this is something that content creators and casual players alike have been asking for since this game had launched. Now, I think items and gear used and found inside of custom lobbies should stay in those custom lobbies. You should not be able to exfil with gear that you find in a custom room, nor should you lose any gear that you bring into a custom room. I think it would open up the door for a lot of shenanigans if that wasn't the case. But again, let me know your take on this down in the comments. Now, lastly, but most certainly not least, is going to be number 10, and this is without a doubt going to be the most controversial one on this list, and that is a gear wipe. Now, while I think there is still somewhat of an argument to be had on either side of this opinion, it seems like more and more people are warming up to the idea of having an annual wipe cycle. I'm not saying it has to be every season, maybe every couple of seasons. However, I do know for some people this game is getting rather boring, doing the same thing over and over and over again. They've completed all of the missions, they've gotten all of the things, done all the stuff, and it just gets boring after a while because the only thing you really have left to do is hunt squads. And even that will get old after a while, especially for the newer players who just installed the game and constantly are getting ran over by squads kitted up with all of the best gear and weapons. Most importantly is the hellacious skill gap between newer players and veterans. These veterans who've been playing since Season 1 that have millions and millions and millions of coin at their disposal, they no longer have to run anything but the best weapons and armor. And even looting gets pointless. What is the point of bringing out 500,000 coin worth of gear out of a raid when you already have 40 or 50 million coins sitting in storage? Now, I'm not saying this is the majority of the player base, and in fact, it's probably the opposite. But as time goes on and seasons come and go, this is for sure the direction that we are heading, whether you want to admit that or not. Now, I absolutely love this game, and I know you do too, otherwise you would not be watching this video. So the last thing I want to do, and the last thing I want for anyone to do, is to get bored of this game and go and find something else to play, because we love it and we want it to stick around for as long as possible. So, with that being said, if you guys want to debate me down in the comments, go right ahead. I would love to answer any questions or talk to you about this more. Otherwise, I appreciate you watching if you're still here, and I will see you in the next one.